interviews. Hi, this is Burt Ward, Robin from the TV series Batman. You're listening to a fantastic interviewer, Steve Brittingham, on Hollywood and Beyond. Wowie zowie, citizens, to the Batmobile.
Hi, friends and listeners. This is host Steven Brittingham. Do you happen to have a question or a comment for me? Or perhaps you feel that you might make an interesting guest here on Hollywood and Beyond. Whatever your reason may be, please feel free to contact me anytime directly at the show's official email address. That would be hollywoodandbeyondshow@gmail.com. That is hollywoodandbeyondshow@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
You can receive all the latest episodes of Hollywood and Beyond with Steven Brittingham delivered to your favorite listening device by subscribing to the show on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or whatever happens to be your favorite podcast listening service. Don't miss out. Tune in.
I'm Elizabeth Blake Thomas. I've been a theatre director for 20 years, a film director for 5 years, a homeschooling and on-set mother for 18 years. I've published a book, travelled the world, created a podcast, raised $2 million, and directed and written 8 features. I'm Professor Blake Thomas at Pepperdine University, running a course called Storytelling and the Power of Our Words. But I'm not a writer, or a director, or a photographer, or a painter, or a teacher. I'm a personal trainer for your mind. I'm a storyteller. To find out more, please log on to my Instagram at medicinewithwords or the website medicinewithwords.com to find out more. Medicine with Words. It's yoga for the mind.
Welcome, friends and listeners, to Hollywood and Beyond Podcast, your home for meaningful and in-depth interviews. Thank you for listening. And now, your host, actor and writer, Steven Brittingham.
Selected clips and music appear courtesy of Aaron Spelling Productions and The Love Boat.
Love, exciting and new. Come aboard, we're expecting you. And love, life's sweetest.
Mr. Chet Hansen at Promenade 352.
That's right. Aren't you young for this job?
No, sir. And Miss Kim Patterson, Promenade 352. I am too young.
Oh, we're going to be married. Very soon.
Oh, Chet, darling, you don't need to explain me to the whole world. Does he, miss?
You see, I get the same salary no matter how much or how little I know. And I get zilch either way. Chet?
That's my wife.
Have an interesting trip. Chet?
Love boat, soon we'll be making another run. The love boat promises something for everyone.
Hi, friends and listeners. I am your host, Steven Brittingham. The Love Boat celebration sails on with my special guest, Susan Buckner, only on Hollywood and Beyond Podcast. As Patty Simcox in Grease, Susan Buckner gave an outstanding performance that was super enjoyable and impressive. A memorable character, no doubt about it. Today, though, Susan is here to share her Love Boat memories from a 1979 episode. As a bonus, Susan will share where she is from and why she decided to become an actress. It is an honor to have her on the show. Welcome to Hollywood and Beyond, Susan.
Hey, Steven. How are you? Thank you for having me come over to your house.
Well, I am so happy and thrilled to have you here. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. It's great. It's an honor. And tickled that we are talking. We have
about the Love Boat.
We have a little history of missing the boat.
Well, I should let listeners know that we have discussed having another special episode with you focusing on Greece. And let me just say in advance that I can't wait for that.
That's right. What was that movie? Which one?
Well, you know, that little film that had some music in it and a few dance numbers and, it was called Grease.
Oh, that old film.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah, because I heard that it got really huge. It got good. It's just like it was just released every day. It's
yes,
released.
It does feel that
somewhere
way.
Always.
It's still so popular. It does feel like it's never left, and that's a beautiful thing. Love Grease.
It's crazy. It's yeah. I'm trying to think of other movies that people. I'm sure Sound of Music. People become attached to that, but I don't know if it's the characters that they become favorites, the characters, or knowing every single line and every single song and all the words. So and basically they do it in every school does it. So everybody's played somebody's part. So, but the Love Boat.
Here we are, the Love Boat. Were you surprised I reached out to you, Susan, about the Love Boat? I'm sure you're used to requests for Greece.
Pleasantly surprised, and I thank you very much.
Oh, you're most
that's
welcome.
Fun. Because actually you reminded me of it's like you look back over the things that you've done and you're looking at what people are doing today, and which one would do in those days, in the days that I was in, because when we first got on TV, when I first was on TV in the Miss America pageant, you couldn't show your belly button. You could not show your belly button. I'm not sure if maybe that was true for Cher too in the very beginning, because most of her costumes, we'd have to go into the archives of rules, but most of her things were cutouts with a piece of fabric down the middle. I'm not now. I could be wrong, but it may have started that way and then changed. But I know Bob Matthews did all of her stuff, because I think we had some of her. We used to use her costumes in another show that I did, or his costumes. Not a bad person to be doing the costumes. But he did my costumes for the Love Boat.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
I had a cute little outfit, cute little number that I wore. I was, I was that tan. I was that tan.
Wow.
That was not, like on Dancing with the Stars, how they spray. Everybody's really tan.
No spray for you.
There was no spray. Actually, there's a little shot where there's a little reveal in a bathing suit where you can see my true colors coming through. In my bathing suit, you can see my.
Well, you looked absolutely stunning, if you don't mind me saying.
What?
Absolutely stunning and beautiful, no doubt about it.
Oh, that's so nice of you to say. Thank you, Stephen.
Well, I am looking forward to learning more about your filming memories and what you would like to share about your experience on the Love Boat. But I thought we'd start at the beginning, just a few years before, and by me starting by asking where you are from.
Well, I am from what is now the land of Microsoft and Amazon. I'm from Seattle, Washington. And we used to only have Boeing. That was our Boeing was everything about. Everybody worked at Boeing. And now Seattle is such an incredibly changed, transformed, modern city. It's amazing. It's beautiful.
I've never been there.
It's great. You can jump off like in LA, you can anywhere in the West Coast, you can jump off and you can go to the ocean. You can jump off and go to the mountains.
Wow.
You can actually take a Sunday drive. Now, I'm down here in Florida, and I don't want to take a Sunday drive. Nothing changes. Sorry, Floridians. I don't mean to trash Florida. I'm not. I'm just.
But you have a lot of sunshine down there.
I have a lot of sunshine. I have an awful lot of sunshine and an awful lot of heat that comes in, and an awful lot of high air conditioning bills.
Oh, no. Well, Susan, one of my favorite places to vacation is in Florida, on the Gulf Coast, the Emerald Coast. I think I could even describe it as Seagrove Beach and Seaside Beach, not too far from Destin.
Wow, that's where the sand is pink and you step.
Oh,
squeaky.
Yes. It's so
because
pretty. It's white sand. There's dolphins. There's delicious food. I just love it.
Sounds just like a love boat.
Yes, and there's boats that I see in the distance, and that's right. Maybe I could take a cruise one day.
Well, you might be able to. Actually, I have a map of all the different cruises. I was gotten real antsy. I said, I'm breaking out. I got to get out of here. I can't stand this anymore. I just got my second shot, so
okay.
I'm 2 weeks out of that. So
well, I got mine yesterday. I got the one where you just need just one shot, and you know what? I haven't had any side effects. I can't believe it.
I didn't have any side effects, but then I thought maybe I actually did. Because I didn't. A week later, because I don't get the flu.
Yeah.
I've never had a flu shot, and I wasn't worried. People said make sure you get it in your left arm if you're right-handed, and I said, no, I'll do my right arm because they come to the card. It was beautiful. There was a tent. It was the guard was there, but they were so efficient, and there was no wait. I had no time, and there was no wait. It was at the zoo, and I just opened my car door, or even actually rolled down the window, and I had them put in my right arm. No big deal. But a few days later, I felt something in my throat. And what I'm definitely afraid of is strep throat, because I've had it. It's so painful that, I stand on my head to swallow. I'm trying to find a way to to swallow. It hurt so much. So I just called my doctors in LA, and I asked him to phone in antibiotics and anything to help me swallow, painlessly swallow. And so I cut it. I stopped it from ever getting to that point. So I'm wondering if the shot kind of set that in motion.
Okay.
Because I don't know, is it a virus with strep throat? Some people get it, some people don't. I happen to be the one that gets it. But
so I'm not out of the woods yet, is what you're trying to say.
well, no, I'm not trying to say. I'm not trying to say that. If the second one, I didn't even think about it. I just kind of felt like I got out of bed and going, wow, this feels like I've been at the gym and worked out. But no, I didn't work out that hard, but enough to feel like my muscles were sore. So maybe that was it. I didn't lose any time or I didn't really sleep over it, let's say. But I started moving around it. But I thought that was something that happened, but I don't. So was it the shot? I don't know. But there were people who were, doing, had their chicken soup ready, and they knew they were going to get sick, and they did, and so they did Tylenol. They'd have their supplies ready because they would expect a reaction. I think if I had done that, I would have had I was going to invite a reaction by preparing chicken soup and having my time already. And,
yes.
I wasn't going to. I was going to stay in denial about all that. So, and so I hope everybody gets it. Go out and get your shots. Okay, if you're not getting a shot, you're not going to help.
I think it's very, very important.
You're not going to. Let's get our lives back.
Yes.
It's not going to. You're not going to get hurt by it.
Right.
Okay, you're not going to get hurt by it. Oops, I turned the robot. Not going to get hurt.
And my arm doesn't even. It's not even sore, which I expected it to be sore.
No.
Very interesting.
Somebody have said that. I wanted the J one and done.
Yeah.
Actually, but that's just not what they were serving at where I went.
I see.
So I think they wanted to give the one to. They were discussing, especially to younger people, college age, and when they were doing that, they wanted them to get it because they figured that they would probably have a hard time, like committing to a second time date. That they were going like for the younger people, 18 and whatever age they're doing it now. They thought that was a better choice for them because of that. Not irresponsibility, but just that, I've got other things I got to do. and having I should just be able to do this once, right? So I'm happy that you get you're in the 16-year-old bracket and you got your one.
Well, I'm glad I finally bit the bullet, so to speak, and went ahead and done it. And it feels good after I got it. I'm like, you know what? I'm glad I got this done. Glad I did my part.
Yes, I don't know anybody that got it that is afraid or fearful or people don't feel relieved and they feel relieved and all of a sudden they can breathe and this fear. Has really been pretty traumatic on a lot of people, and you're looking at people like they're with germs.
Right, that's true.
I got a COVID dog. Maybe she should be germ. Maybe that would be the name. Jeremy or Kobe.
Well, Susan, it's so much fun having you here. You're just so much fun to speak with. We've spoken before. And off the air a while back, and I just had so much fun talking with you. So thank you for being here today.
Yeah,
it means a lot to me.
That was fun. Yeah, we were going to do an interview. I called to say I really wasn't up to it, and then we talked for an hour, and we're laughing and you're done. We're like, why didn't we just press record?
I know we were kind of going there, but I wasn't ready at that point. But yes, it was so fun to speak with you and just a nice treat. And I'd love to ask you, Susan. Obviously you are a very talented lady, but why did you decide to become an actress, or why did you decide to pursue dancing and artistic projects in general?
That was just always where I was good. I just couldn't do that. I mean, when I was little, I was like an acrobat, so I was kind of like at relative parties and stuff. It's like, Susie, do this, Susie, do that. I was like the trained seal. So I was almost a contortionist type of acrobat. And my sister started taking dancing lessons, and we didn't have a lot of money, so for me to take dance classes, I had to pay for. That was a burden. It would be a burden, so I had to wait till I was 6 to start taking classes. But I still did. I went to the recitals that I saw. We'd end up making up things in the yard, and we would make Kool-Aid and popcorn and put chairs out and blankets and things for people to sit on, and then we would put on shows in the front yard. and then I started out with ballet, but next door to, you're supposed to start with ballet. Actually, you have a little bit of, that's kind of like the basis to a lot of things that it creates it makes you do things correctly. It's a little more strict, and I'm not even strict. I was a little more. I heard the jazz music next door, and I said, I want to do that class. So I changed over to doing jazz, and that's pretty much what I did. So I did jazz, and then the acrobats turned into gymnastics when I was in junior high school. So I was dancing and doing gymnastics, and I was competing, and I not on my chair. I was competing in the regionals, and I think I had second place all around in the Northwest regionals.
Oh, wow.
And Kathy Rigby, I placed higher than Kathy Rigby, who was in California. Sorry, Kathy Rigby, listening. But you kept going, you kept doing it, and I got into boys. But second place, novice all around 65. AAA Northwest Regional Gymnastics Championship. There it is. Cut the da. So that was part of actually. I did the other movie. The other movie we were talking about. I did a handstand front walkover at the dance.
Mm-hmm.
and so I got in there a little bit.
Well, you're such a skilled dancer.
Well, thank you. I became more. I was not one of those people who took a dance class every day, like a lot of some of the people in some of the popular schools.
I see.
Went every day.
Yeah.
We didn't have the finances to do that, and so I learned a lot on my own, and doing gymnastics helps because you do floor exercise, so I had that as my background, and then I was doing school plays, and I was in the choir, and I would be in the summer socks, and it just felt easy and natural for me, and it made my mom happy, and it made my relatives happy, and it made the sisters argue over, oh, she takes after me. No, she takes after me. So it created that little strange little dynamic in my mom's family, and so I was a senior in high school, and I got a job as a professional where I got a real paycheck, and every night I was going down to the Edgewater in Seattle. If you're in Seattle, you know where the Edgewater is, and that is where the Beatles stayed when they came to town. And they had a nightclub in there. It's a nice hotel where you could have a room that's over the water. You just fish out your window. in Mount Puget Sound.
Yeah.
And there's salmon in there. So they gave you fishing rods. I don't think they do that anymore, but I had all my credits, and so I get to come to school late because I worked late, and I was a dancer comedian in this variety show, and then there were these headliners and a keyboard player and three girls. So we had our act there, and I was the youngest. I really was the only one who was under 21, but it was great. I got to get to school at 10, and my first class was auto mechanics for girls. And I had a car that I had to push and get it going, and then jump in and pop the clutch and get it started. And I drive it to school and right into the garage area of the school. And we worked on my car. So, and there was a girl that was working on my car. And I'm not sure if we ever got it go. I learned all the other. I still have auto mechanics, my auto mechanics book. And so, and that's when it was all about the boys and their cars, and guys who took good care of their cars.
Right.
And the 57 Chevys, the 55 Chevys, and all the Mustangs, the Corvettes, and you had to really keep them clean. And I remember going out with a guy, and I ordered French fries. We didn't go out into restaurants. We went to drive-ins, and I ordered French fries, and I had salt on them, and this guy was freaking out because I was eating fries with salt. And that might get in his car. I mean, that's the detail of, that was the kind of love people showed their cars. And I was very, very used to and expecting anybody I ever met to have that mindset. And I still do, even though my car is washing right now. But so I went. When I graduated from high school, I met a lady who I don't even know. I don't even remember where I met her. I met her at some function in the town I was, the area of Seattle, Burien, which is kind of like one of the Seattle pods areas. And I met a lady who said, "Why don't you should really be in it would be the Miss Seattle contest now, but then Miss Seattle itself didn't. The one that they had was in my town, so it was called Miss Burien. So to go into the Miss Burien contest, she talked me into it. And I went, okay. So I ended up being in the Miss Burien contest, and I won it. So, and then I went on to immediately to the Miss Washington contest. And so I entered that, and I won that, and I'm trying to start college, but there's a delay, and I start and I stop. I'm missing a lot of things because I went on to be in Miss America pageant, and that was really freaky because I'd never flown before. I had nightmares for so long getting on an airplane. I was 19. I'd never flown before. And because we used to take car drive. We used to driving. So
whoa, big difference.
I was claustrophobic. I had dreams that I wasn't going to be able to breathe on the plane. How could I breathe in this thing? And it wasn't like that at all. So thank God that I didn't know until
I have a fear of flying too. I mean, just so you know.
I understand. I didn't even think about the crashing part. I just thought I was going to suffocate.
Oh, yeah. Where's the air coming from up here?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I never thought about that part, but
well, I didn't know. Crashing. It didn't really matter if I suffocated.
Oh, no.
First.
Yes. Oxygen is important.
But I know a lot of people. Oxygen's good, but when they bring down that oxygen thing coming down, is nice. It could be comforting, but that could mean something else too now. Actually, I think I was thinking of flying with one of those oxygen mask things as a tank, and then I wouldn't have to deal with anybody else there. But I don't think that I just fly with. I tried to get an oxygen tank on a plane once because I was having a hard time breathing, and And it caused such a calamity between the flight attendants, if they could do this or not. And I'm going, I really am having a hard time breathing. And they said, okay, for 20 minutes, I was waiting, and they finally brought me this tank. It was so big, I thought I was going diving. But I had it. It turned out I had pneumonia, and I didn't know it. And that was the problem. But there's another little story about flying. These flying people who love flying. I used to fly with a bunch of guys in a group that were so afraid. Okay, well, we hit turbulence. You cannot believe how loud they were.
Oh, wow.
And they go, oh, God, oh, Jesus, oh, help, oh, God, oh, help me, God, help me, God, Jesus. And they would all be doing this. Oh, it was like being in a Baptist church or a Pentecostal or one of they're almost rolling in the aisles. So scared.
Oh, wow.
Every time it was hysterical.
Yeah.
I wish I could have recorded it.
Well, how did the other passengers react to that?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure they were entertained by them. I don't know if it encouraged their fear, maybe, but it didn't. I was so entertained by it. I thought it was really, really fun.
Now, today, if you fly, you feel much more at ease over the years?
I do feel at ease.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine flying. I'm a really snobby flyer. I have to have a certain plane, and I do not like to make stops. And I like the 777, and so I'm a mileage whore. I have gathered quite a few 100,000 miles on different airlines. So, and now there's a lot of them out there because nobody's flown, so that and they've been accumulating miles over the programs they're in. And I think some of them you don't have to. We're supposed to be talking about a boat, but we're flying to get to the boat. Okay, they're dropping the amount of miles, from what I understand, that you have to use to fly somewhere, which is great. But it's, especially now that people are starting to fly. But everybody wants to go to Hawaii. If you want to go to Hawaii, it costs $1,000 a day to rent a car. I was told that from Mr. Travelman Greenberg,
Goodness.
who I listen to a lot. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. But he knows everything there is about flying and about where to stay, what to do, what not to do, and he is the guru of traveling, and he does take people on trips himself and guides them. But now he has his own podcast and his own show, and he's on everything. But
okay, very nice.
I was going somewhere with that, but I don't. I think we were all going to Hawaii, right?
Correct.
Except for how are we going to get around? $1,000 a day. We're going to ride sharing. People are actually riding. People are buying cars there and renting them to people. Just so they figured out that's a great way to buy a car, because it costs so much to rent them. So
sounds like it. Goodness.
Hopefully you're an all-inclusive resort. So let's get on the boat.
On the boat.
Would you like to get on the boat? Because I'm packed. I'm ready to go.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm so excited to ask you about some of your memories. I'm wondering, had you viewed The Love Boat before being a guest star on the series?
Oh, yeah. I think everybody saw The Love Boat.
It was very popular, wasn't it? Even in the early days.
Yes, it was huge, humongous. I didn't get to Seattle yet. I got to see. I went from Seattle to L.A. with Dean Martin's Gold Diggers. That's how I got to. That's how I got to L.A. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have to go to L.A. without a job. And I went there, and I had a very sweet job with the Gold Diggers with 8 girls who were from fine families, and I considered them those were my sorority girls. And I really thought I was going to do that forever. That was just heaven. But it doesn't take me long to get tired of something, and I want more is better, so I want more, and so I left them. And then I wanted to act. I wanted to write music. I wanted to sing. And we did have a group, and
all sorts of things. You're very artistic.
All sorts of things. Yeah, but that's kind of the way it is. You know, you kind of gotta have your all pots boiling at one time, so that and one of them's going to make something nice.
Well, I'll tell you what. Yes, you've done quite well.
Yeah, so yeah, I was like the sampler. It's very sprinkled with a lot of different things. My career and the Love Boat was a treat. It was fun. It was my first experience with Love Boat. Well, first of all, I was packed and we didn't go anywhere. I didn't know we weren't going anywhere. Kidding. Ha 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 ha. But I did not get seasick. But so it was really nice that the makeup. So that's your first experience. Usually, is hair and makeup.
Mm-hmm.
When you get onto it. When you start your first day of doing anything, which is just the most nerve-wracking day. You're shaking it out and getting comfortable with people, and comfortable with yourself. But in the makeup, I was so impressed with how they did my makeup and the detail that they showed just doing my lip makeup, my lipstick. They must have had 3 or 4 colors in it. It was like, wow, this is awesome. And I don't think I would ever take that much time doing just my lips. But it really,
well, that's nice to hear.
Effective.
You were probably very pleased about that, weren't you?
I was very impressed because it was an amazing artistic touch that did. It was productive. It really did create in all the right places for that time. Makeup changes constantly, but I think you could still do that today, and people still do something like that because you can look at lips and see all these different colors plus other things behind it. But so that was my first experience.
Your first experience.
It was on the Love Boat, and then meeting Lauren Tweed, and her showing me that Visine is how you get your red out of your eyes. And then I kept hearing Jill St. John. All she could talk about was Aspen. So this was before everybody had moved to Aspen, but she was telling everybody because she wanted everybody to move to Aspen, and then they did. But she was really she should be the ambassador for Aspen. She really was talking a lot about it, and I doing the show was fun. You know, the entrance. Pretty much everybody's experience is that first entrance where you come on board and meet everyone, or they greet you.
Yes.
So that kind of seems like basically that is something that would happen. People would greet you. So that was kind of like a natural little introduction to the people that have been on the show forever. And and then doing. There's three storylines going on, and you really don't see the other people that are doing the other stories while you're doing your parts, unless they throw in the other people. But then they'd be throwing in as extras in a scene. So it's not like the other people in the other shows were on this set with me when I was laying at the pool, let's say.
Now, Susan, did you know who you would be working with? Do you recall, like when you showed up on set, like, I know who I'm working with today, or were you surprised to find out?
I was surprised to find out. I didn't know who I would be working with. I didn't know what the storyline was going to be. I was going to be on a Love Boat. That was it.
And James MacArthur was the co-star of yours. I bet you were excited about that.
I was excited about that. Actually, when I found out who he was afterwards.
Well, I'll tell you, Hawaii Five-0, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Not this one. Not the one that's on now.
Not the one that's on now. This is the original classic.
Yes.
And you two had wonderful chemistry together. Worked well together.
He was really sweet. He played this little character that was really loving and never hurt anybody. He was really a nice, and he was very kind. Anyway, he was really nice.
Well, that's nice to hear. His character was interesting, wasn't it? Because he couldn't. It's like he seemed like a nice guy, and I kept wondering, well, why did he go behind his wife's back? Like, why? I couldn't. It was kind of interesting to me, and there was kind of this triangle between your character and his wife, who was also on the cruise. That was kind of a fun storyline.
Interesting. Well, she wasn't. His wife wasn't supposed to go. We were supposed to go. We were
That's
going
right.
out.
She was crashing the party.
And she came crashing in, She was not going to let her man go.
No, just like she planned it.
She was playing little games. I wasn't happy about it.
Got a little steamy a few times, didn't you?
A little bit. Yep, a little bit. But I'll tell you what. I want to give a shout out to Joanna Cassidy. She is an incredibly strong actress. She knew who she was, and in her, who she was, what her goal was, what she was, and she was almost like a magnet. Like, I couldn't stay in character. I would get pulled over into who she was a lot, because she was.
That's a high compliment.
Powerful. No, it's a problem for me. Because it's almost like you're trying to keep your footing and stay with it, but you're losing your. She was, there's a lot of learning in acting as you go on, and I learned about, you can be with people that are so powerful, so strong, and so knowing who they were. If you're having a conversation with them, all of a sudden you're acting like they are, instead of staying who you are, and that one became an inner struggle for me. But at the same time, my hats are off to her.
She did a great job.
And she just, and she always has it. And I watch her on Instagram sometimes, and she asks people to give her a part, and she'll do it. And so she does the stuff on Instagram, and she's really good.
Do you keep in touch with her?
I don't. I think she probably remembers who I am because of that Love Boat. But not personally, except for that when she wants to know why did this work, and I would just say, because how come this character works, and what she ask questions, and I put because you're great. in that period. That's why it works. And she likes that.
Yes. Poor James having two beautiful women fight for his attention.
Poor baby.
That seems like an ideal role for me.
Yeah. Really, who wouldn't want that role?
Right. Which leading man actor would enjoy such a scenario?
Well, I was the deep character. It was a little ditzy. It was just too much into the psychology books I was reading or something, and whatever this doctor said is how I needed to tell this guy that I was hoping to be my husband. I had to tell him what he thought and how he should. This is what he would say, and just nonsense, basically. It was a great learning experience because it helped me in another area with acting, and it was a easy, breezy way to show. They really had their game down, and they've been doing it for so long. It's 1, 2, 3, boom. Then they do it. It's not. I don't think they could get everything done in a week, and there were no issues.
It seems like a fun set.
It was a fun set, and people were very nice. You don't always. It's interesting how people just say everybody should hang around and talk to each other. No, sometimes you don't. There's plenty of people you don't even meet that are in it. You don't cross paths.
Now, did you cross paths with Milton Berle, who was in another storyline, or just not able to have an encounter with him?
I crossed paths with Milton Berle and other things on the Dean Martin show.
So you'd already done that before.
We already crossed paths, yeah. But I don't recall that I ever saw him on the set, because
he was just so good.
Maybe in between doing something, they were making up somebody else, and I'm going back to my dressing room, and then while we're having to change or something, they're doing another spot for them.
Well, remember, Susan, he was a former boxer, and Alan Hale Jr. was his former nemesis, and they were going to have another round on the boat at their age. And they wound up knocking out poor Gavin McLeod, Captain Stubing. He got knocked out trying to break it up.
Yes, but then afterwards he was okay.
Yes. Well, very nice. And I remember, it's very interesting.
I walked off because I walked off with him. Yeah, you can just walk off.
Yes, with Bernie Kopell, the good doctor. And isn't it funny that, that character is such a Casanova, and perhaps on the surface, one might go, oh, well, they're going to really have him go after, Susan's character. But that didn't happen until the final moments of the episode.
Yeah.
And he still gets to walk off in the sunset with the lady. I'll tell you.
I am so cute. I think he's really sweet. He was, the cast was just really tight and easy and nice, and they were very enjoyable, and they weren't like we're the permanent stars of the show and you're just a guest. They were never like that. It was like they were just like everybody else. They were
that is so
very
nice
down to earth people.
And Susan, now you had already appeared in Grease, correct? Like not too long before, but I if I have this right. So they were probably very excited to have one of the stars from Grease visit the Love Boat.
I would hope so. It is.
That's good casting.
I don't know if I don't know if they. I didn't think of it. I didn't think of it as that way. I don't know if they were only going to put her on because she was in Greece and everybody could remember her. I don't know the thinking behind it. I wasn't.
Sure.
I wasn't in the room.
And you were so different than Patty. And the reason why I mention that is that says to me just your range as an actress. It's very evident. You didn't just come on board and play the same type of character. It was a totally different character.
True. Yeah.
So very well done on your part.
Well, thank you. That's very nice to hear. Very nice to hear. Who doesn't want to hear that?
Well, you are most welcome.
Anybody.
Let me ask you, did you film do you recall if this was did you film for an entire week because you had your own storyline, or were you there just a few days to film?
Well, it's a week.
Full
so
week.
You're there one day. Maybe you're doing, you do one part of the scene in one day. So basically, you were pretty much worked most of the week, which makes me think that there were other people there doing something else, but we just didn't cross paths. We would go to our dressing rooms and we'd be on our set and be at makeup at different times. So I can't say I recall any of the other stories. I didn't even know the other storyline. So
you were there really, to do yours.
They could have done those storylines. They could just do storylines constantly and then put what they want together at any time, I guess.
It's a wonderful concept, isn't it? I mean, it's it is. You have fun stuff, but then you have emotional stuff. It's I just think that's a very enjoyable format. And so much happened on your episode. I mean, we had Gopher in love with Jill St. John's character, or I should say very smitten, perhaps is the better way to put it. And then we had Milton and Hal, and then yours characters. And I'll tell you, it was a very enjoyable episode. Very enjoyable episode.
Thank you. It's really nice of you to say thank you. I don't even think I've watched The Love Boat and thought this one sucks or something. They were always enjoyable.
Well, I'll tell you, on Paramount Plus, Susan, it's in HD no less. It's like a whole new experience. It just looks beautiful.
I haven't seen it in HD.
And you can watch it. The whole series is on there. So you probably know what I've been doing lately.
I'm mad with the Plus things. Everything that I'm watching on TV that I used to watch as part of my package, now it's got to be, I got to pay $4.99 for the Discovery Channel when I used to have it all the time.
Things are changing, aren't they? It's just, because
subscriptions can you have?
And when you were on The Love Boat, Susan, think about it. If someone missed your episode, right, they might have to wait till the summer to see the rerun. It's not like they could, just watch it the next day or next week.
That's the way it was.
It was like an event, wasn't it? It was like
reruns. Yeah.
Remember all summer the reruns, and it's like, the countdown to September. Come on, get here.
Exactly. And the hiatus, and
yes.
Now people do 13 shows, and they do it at a completely obscure time than it used to be, and they just keep, and they say how many seasons they've done, but actually those seasons, there was 3 seasons in 1 year or something because of the shows and how they shoot them now, and that's now. I tried to do an audition something in Tampa, and you do your audition on a video or video yourself, and then you send it in, and that's so foreign to me. I do not know the tricks and the trade. It's not an 8x10 glossy and your resume.
You're bringing back memories. Yep, my 8x10, and I'd staple the resume on the back and put it in an envelope and mail it.
Yeah. And then you got to make sure you change the color of your paper on your resume or the font or try to make it look nice. And it's interesting how it pretty much looks like typed.
Yes, and black and white. It seems like these days, Susan, it's like color is the way to go. And it still throws me. I'm like, wait a minute, these have to be in black and white.
Yes.
But apparently not.
Small and smaller.
Yeah. Very interesting.
And at the bottom of mine, it says commercials and other background provided upon request, which now I'm going, I don't remember I did a lot of commercials. It's like I can remember a couple of them because I have pictures of them in my house. But I did a whole bunch. Did a whole bunch of. I have because I had prints of them, did print work and the commercial. So, but there was a whole bunch of commercials I did. I mean, the commercials were great because it would just be fun going to the mailbox. And because of the residuals, and it's like surprise money. It was like stimulus money.
Mm-hmm. Now, Susan, I'm wondering why weren't you? I mean, is there any reason that you know of? Let me rephrase that. Hold on, it didn't come out right. So, Susan, I'm surprised that you did not make a second appearance or even a third appearance on the Love Boat.
No, I was just looking at the Love Boat thing, and I'm looking at people who are on there that I know who are on this board 5 times. I'm going, well, WTF.
I would have liked to have seen you back several more times.
The year that I did it, well, the year that I did that in the 79?
Correct.
79, I think.
The end of the 70s.
Yes, the end of the 70s, and then I after that I did. This is wonderful. Unfortunately, my resume is not in order. I mean, it's not chronological order. I did I bounced around with other shows. I did Switch. Switch was one of the first episode things I did with Jill St. John married the guy with Switch. Who now I'm going to have a problem with because Natalie was husband twice. And I was on that, and he was very, very sweet to me. And you're going to help me out with his name. You're going to say his name for me, okay?
Sure. I'll try.
So, come on, Natalie Wood's husband. I'm telling you, the one that Natalie Wood was married to. Switch.
Yes, Robert.
Go ahead, Robert Wagner.
There we go. I'll tell you.
Poor. He was really sweet. I walked on the set, and it was and he immediately, he stood out. He's like, "Oh, we have a green one." He doesn't even go and say hello to the director. But I didn't know you're supposed to do that. I didn't know. Go say hello and thank you and introduce yourself, whatever, and make a greeting or some type of ice breaking. But I didn't know that I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about that. And even I think there was a couple other shows that I did, like the Babe Didrikson story, and where I just came in and did one line. I don't think I went and saw the director on that, nor on the Howard Hughes story that I did. I don't remember. I knew the casting director, but I don't remember, going up and saying hello to the director. so he said I was green. He said, "Oh, we have a green one here," but he was very sweet, and actually Lorenzo Lamas was in that. That was his first appearance in anything, and he was one of the bad guys that pushed the truck over a hill, which I was under, which I got hit by, and then I was in bed, and I had to play dead, like dying, with a lot of dialogue from Robert Wagner standing over me and being really sad that this had happened to me. And I had to play dead for a really long time. And it's really hard to play dead for a really long time.
Oh, I bet.
Take two, take one, take two. Don't breathe. So anyway,
and don't laugh. Don't laugh if
don't laugh.
Like if something strikes you as funny.
My birthday. It was my birthday, and he invited me. Oh, he said, "Oh, come on, look at my house, and we'll celebrate your birthday." I was, it's like there's two of me, I guess, because I'm typically outgoing, but at the same time, when somebody does that, I'm like, oh, I already have plans, which I didn't, but I don't know why I just didn't go. I have no idea why I didn't go. I had another one that was really stupid, and I still don't know why. I know why I did that. I didn't want anybody to think I was easy. Okay, can you walk into my car? Wait a minute. This is far enough to say goodbye here. Dustin Hoffman. Can I walk into the car? No, I got this. and it's like slap myself.
Oh my! Well, you've had an amazing career, and I just can't wait to have you back to discuss more career memories and your memorable performance in Grease as well.
Thank you. But when you said that, you had said that before, and I thought you were talking about my immoral part that I played in Love Boat because I was with the married man.
Well, I'll tell you, it was definitely a fun performance.
Thank you. It was fun, and there's nothing to not like about being on Love Boat. Nothing. I mean, it's a nice experience. It was great. Yes. I wish they were still doing it. I would be surprised
me too.
Because people they bring Hawaii Five-0 back. They can't come up with anything new in Hollywood. It seems
it's very interesting to me. When you think about it.
I think why can't they have another Love Boat? Well, probably because of COVID. Because of COVID.
Yeah. And the expense, I bet, today would be challenging. Let's put it that way. With all the guest stars and, but then again, I think that having a show like The Love Boat would be almost what we kind of need right now. A feel-good show.
I think so too. We would get to go something because we could go somewhere.
Yeah.
And we could be with other people, and we could see people we haven't seen for a long time.
And you can be on that show, Susan.
Yeah.
Make your long-awaited second appearance.
Why not? If Joan Blondell can do it, I can do it.
There you go. And I can play the man who can't make up his mind.
Okay, all right. We're going to put you in that situation and make you strong.
Well, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for such a wonderful and enjoyable visit. And I just want to say I really appreciate your time. And this was just super enjoyable.
It was very enjoyable speaking with you. You're really easy to talk to. I really enjoy you, Stephen. I did.
Oh, well, thank you.
Your show is great. Keep doing it. Do more. I want to be on again and again and again.
Hey, consider it done. You have an unlimited pass, and that just brightens up my day big time. Thank you.
Carrie Mitchum. Hollywood and Beyond podcast is produced, edited, and hosted by Steven Brittingham. Thank you for listening.